It's 4 o'clock. The top stories on 7 News. A major police search in the southern Tablelands for a missing Sydney couple. We have complete coverage. A failed gangland hit captured on camera. And Sydney's love story with Taylor Swift coming to an end.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good afternoon. The New South Wales police officer accused of killing Jesse Baird and Luke Davies is believed to have purchased weights before one of two trips to a rural property in the state's southern Tablelands. Police divers have spent the day searching dams in an area near Goulburn in the hope of finding the couple's bodies. Robert Avadia joins me now. Rob, has there been any breakthrough?
There's been no breakthrough, unfortunately, not for lack of trying, obviously. Bungonia is that area near Goulburn. Police are very, very confident. Their accused man, Beau Lamar Condon, had certainly been there throughout the week multiple times, they would suggest. The first time with an acquaintance who is not described as an accomplice, who might have had absolutely no idea why they were there. And possibly a second time. Now, police have been convinced that at least once the bodies of the two young men were disposed of there. Their problem is that they believe their accused returned to the property a second time, may well have relocated their bodies because he didn't trust the acquaintance who might have become suspicious of his behaviour. Now, he picked up that acquaintance in Sydney. They drove to that area, and from what we understand today from the Deputy Commissioner Dave Hudson, they accessed materials at Bunnings in Goulburn.
The angle grinder was used to sever a padlock from the gate of that particular rural property, and subsequently that padlock was replaced with a padlock purchased from the hardware store.
Now, Rob, police have shared details about what they believe happened in Paddington.
They have, and they can't be sure, and you have to keep in mind that as this was playing out in real time, there is a difference between what police heard, what neighbours heard, and what police were aware of at the time. The suggestion is that there were multiple gunshots. Neighbours did hear that. That was not reported to police, unfortunately. That was Monday, so 7 days away now at 9:50 a.m. 9:54, there was even a 000 call to police as well, but nothing said in that, and that came from Jesse Baird's phone. Without being told about the gunshots and without having anything said on the 000 call, there was nothing suspicious about that, but police did find bloodied clothes in Cronulla on the Wednesday. ID in that led them to Jesse Baird's apartment in Paddington, and the investigation began in earnest, and given the state of that place and the state of the clothes as well, police were very concerned. The most concerning part about this is not just the alleged murder of two young men, but it's the fact that the man who's alleged to have done it was a serving police officer, and the fact that he allegedly used his service Glock, was able to check it in and out to allegedly commit this crime.
It's a failure if someone has used their service firearm in the manner that's alleged. Our recruits are assessed by psychologists, so that will form part of the investigations.
And another peripheral part of the investigation, Anne, will be the entry from Victoria Police. They have been called in to examine the safeguards around police being able to store and access their firearms.
All right. Thank you very much for updating us, Rob Avadia, reporting there. Confronting new video has emerged of an attempted gangland assassination at Campsie a few months ago. The target was ambushed in an underground car park, wounded in the head and chest, but amazingly survived. Natasha Squarey has the exclusive video.
Well, this shooting was very well planned, but it didn't go exactly as the gang wanted. Their victim survived, and 5 months on, detectives are still hunting at least 7 suspects. Vailina Kaloamatangi was leaving his Campsie home with a friend on a Tuesday night last September when he was ambushed in his underground car park by 2 suspects. The gunman was armed with 2 handguns and fired at least 12 shots before he runs out of ammo. The 27-year-old victim was hit in the chest and head. He crashes his car as he attempts to get away and then makes a run for it on foot. His friend wasn't injured.
The number of shots, the time of day, 9:30 at night, it's horrendous.
That evening, 3 cars were torched in Kingsgrove, Birrong and Baralla. The following day, another getaway car was set alight in Agnes Banks, and a week later, this Nissan was found destroyed.
The cars we know were driving in convoy at some stages. We know that the cars had jerry cans inside them.
It's believed the 27-year-old was targeted for his alleged role in organised crime, but it's not yet clear why his attackers wanted him dead. But he's been here before, surviving another shooting in Maryland's in 2020. He refused to give police any information then, and this time it's no different. We'll have more exclusive pictures at 6 p.m.
Fire crews have managed to stop a blaze spreading to a stockpile of lithium-ion batteries in Western Sydney. About 80 firefighters battled the blaze that erupted inside a factory at Rydalmere just after 7 this morning. The blaze was fuelled by plastics and electronics, leading to warnings about toxic smoke in the air.
We've encouraged people to stay out of the smoke, but thankfully the conditions today have been in our favour, with the smoke predominantly heading straight up.
The fire was extinguished before it spread to adjoining industrial units, including one that housed the lithium-ion batteries. Households are paying much more than businesses for the same amount of electricity, according to a new study. It's forced energy companies onto the back foot, just as they reveal a substantial increase in revenues. Live now to political reporter Isabel Mullen. Izzy, how much more are homeowners paying?
A lot more, Anne. Good afternoon. Analysis of AGL's half-yearly results is pretty damning, revealing households are being charged an average of $1,000 more than businesses annually for exactly the same amount of power. The Australia Institute looked at the numbers, and researchers say energy giants have been ripping off families in the middle of a cost of living crisis as they announce massive profits. Origin Energy, AGL and Energy Australia's revenue all more than doubling.
Businesses have more bargaining power, and this is the real issue. If our electricity market was competitive, then households wouldn't be paying an extra $1,000 a year for electricity. This is price gouging. This is lack of competition in the electricity market.
Energy providers and the government say it's not an equal comparison because the regulator sets household price caps. Meanwhile, energy executives say the transition to clean energy is not happening quickly enough to meet the government's targets, and have suggested we continue using coal as a safety net to keep supply reliable and affordable as fossil fuels are phased out. The Nationals are pushing nuclear, the latest news poll revealing 55% of voters support the idea of small modular nuclear reactors as a replacement for coal-fired power.
Until you tell them that there's going to be a nuclear reactor next door, and then I don't think anybody's a supporter of nuclear power. This is just a fantasy, it's a distraction.
Yes, I would, and I'm prepared to lead my community in that conversation and understanding the opportunities.
The coalition is yet to confirm its energy policy, but it is expected to feature nuclear power as the nation transitions away from coal and gas. Anne.
Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Thanks, Izzy. Former Premier Gladys Berejiklian has begun her fight to overturn a corruption verdict. A 2-day hearing is underway in the Court of Appeal. Ms Berejiklian is seeking to overturn a Corruption Commission finding that she breached public trust by failing to report her relationship with disgraced Liberal MP Daryl Maguire. The findings effectively ended her political career. Fire has badly damaged a house in Western Sydney. Crews arrived at the home in Toongabbie at around 3:30 a.m. The house's 3 residents were able to get out safely before firefighters moved in to put out the blaze. It took about an hour to extinguish the flames. There's been a major development in a Gold Coast double murder case that's puzzled police for more than 2 decades. Detectives say a witness has come forward with new information. Liam Bland has more.
Almost 22 years since the shooting murder of Frederick Rosson and suspected killing of Ian Hogg, investigators have a new lead. A witness has identified a group of men spotted in a suspect white sedan on the day Ian Hogg went missing in March 2002.
A witness has come forward who has reported seeing Mr Hogg being chased into the underground car park by 3 or 4 males in a white sedan.
Detectives believe the men were wielding baseball bats and pieces of timber as they followed Hogg's red Toyota Celica to near his apartment in Currumbin.
Investigators believe the white sedan described is similar in make and model to a 1982 Ford Laser or Meteor or a 1986 Toyota Corona sedan.
It's believed Hogg's body was dumped in the Tweed River. Police say his car was used 4 days after his disappearance in the murder of Mount Nathan man Frederick Rosson.
Mr Rosson was shot and killed while selling his 9mm CZ handgun.
Investigators are confident the victims didn't know each other but were killed by the same people. $1 million reward is being offered for anyone who gives them up. Detectives say they've been retesting various DNA samples with new technology. Those advances now returning DNA profiles of possible persons of interest.
Angie Asimus joins us now with the latest on Sydney's weather. Hi there, Angie. A lovely day across the city.
And another beautiful, settled day, warm but not too hot. There were plenty of people out and about enjoying that weather on the beach at Cronulla. The water temperature still a lovely 24 degrees. Now, we reached a top of 28 degrees in the CBD, hitting that mark before midday. Wet weather across the state has really eased too. Generally nothing more than the odd passing shower on the coast, and temperatures were close to average. 30 degrees at Port Macquarie, 35 at Albury, and this is all the calm before quite a change. A burst of heat will see temperatures spike in southwest New South Wales from Wednesday, reaching the coast, including Sydney. By Thursday, we will see temperatures hit the 40s in parts. As we wait for that final heat wave of summer, Sydney has a couple more pleasant days to enjoy, but there are some showers in the mix tomorrow, mainly on the coast. I'll tell you which suburbs and when those falls are most likely soon, Anne.
See you then, Angie. And still to come in Sydney's afternoon news on 7, why police officers might not be marching in Mardi Gras this year. More sickening allegations at Cumberland Hospital, the state government's response. And in sport, NRL stars hit Vegas as our Matildas return home.
In 7 News and News Searchers, police allege an elaborate attempt to hide the bodies of Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. The mystery 000 call for help from Jessie's phone. Gladys Berejiklian's new fight to clear her name. The driver who couldn't be bothered changing his tyre. And the weight loss balloon helping shed kilos. 7 News at 6.
The police commissioner says she's offended by claims her leadership is under question over the case of an officer accused of double murder. But today, the Premier has stood by his top cop, as Taylor Aiken reports.
Good afternoon. Well, Police Commissioner Karen Webb has spoken for the first time after a serving police officer was arrested and charged, accused of a double murder. Commissioner Karen Webb is facing growing pressure about why it took her 3 days to front up to questions about the investigation, despite Senior Constable Beau Lamar Condon handing himself into police last Friday morning.
Are there questions over your leadership?
No. And that's offensive.
Multiple police sources have told 7 News many of the same questions are being asked within her own ranks.
Of course I'm doing my job.
Commissioner Webb was repeatedly blasted over her handling of the fatal tasering of 95-year-old Claire Nowland last year, also allegedly at the hands of a serving police officer. Questioned about her refusal to watch the body-worn camera footage. Today also revealing she's refused to watch this. Footage of Lamar Condon tasering another man in 2020.
No, I haven't. I've heard about it.
The police are also facing calls from the LGBT community to not march in this weekend's Mardi Gras parade. Police have been marching in the Oxford Street parade for 20 years. The Police Commissioner says it would be a travesty if that doesn't continue, but the force would ultimately respect the decision of organisers.
Another whistleblower has come forward with shocking claims about staff and patient safety inside the state's largest mental hospital. For more, we go live to Serena Andaloro. Serena, this is part of a 7 News investigation.
And good afternoon, that's right. Last night we heard explosive allegations from 2 former staff members at Cumberland Hospital. They raised concerns about patient sexual assaults, physical assaults against patients and staff, as well as psychological terror. They say staff who speak up are bullied and ignored by New South Wales Health. Tonight we hear from a former boss at Cumberland Hospital who backs up those claims, and he's got a very personal story to add. We also sat down with the Mental Health Minister, Rose Jackson. She has vowed to make change.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really fair to say that this issue has been left neglected and unchecked for too long. I think it's going to be great when we can just draw a line in the sand.
We'll have more on this developing story at 6, Anne.
Serena Andaloro. Thanks, Serena. Hungary is preparing to ratify Sweden's long-delayed bid to join NATO. After months of diplomatic wrangling, Hungary is the last member of the military alliance to approve Sweden's application. Sweden applied to join NATO in May 2022 at the same time as Finland. The historic shift in its security policy was prompted by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A sobering statistic out of Ukraine today, with President Zelensky revealing 31,000 troops have died defending the country from Russia. Having just marked the second anniversary of the Russian invasion, the Ukrainian leader says his country's survival depends on receiving enough Western support. Here's Europe correspondent Ashley Mullaney.
These are numbers not typically released by Ukraine, but in a press conference today, Volodymyr Zelensky revealed that more than 30,000 Ukrainian soldiers have now been killed in the war with Russia. The numbers are sobering, so is the outlook for this conflict. Zelensky says Ukraine is in dire need of Western support, and as of now, that multi-billion-dollar aid package from the US is still stalled in Congress.
But the answer is if to give us strong package in one time, our steps will be more strong on the battlefield. We will lose less people and we will win.
Ukraine marked the 2-year anniversary of the war over the weekend. Back at the start, Vladimir Putin thought he could topple the Ukrainian capital in just a few days. That hasn't happened, but he did set in motion the deadliest war on European ground in more than 70 years. And Volodymyr Zelensky, a wartime leader, now faces the challenge not only of mustering confidence in Washington, but keeping up morale in his own country as they head into the third year of this war.
Next in 7's afternoon news, we'll have sport with Matt Carmichael, including the Roosters getting serious in Los Angeles, while Vegas is an eye-opener for Manly stars. Also, the Matildas home to write another history-making chapter. And later, what caused this costly crash on the Gold Coast.
On 7 News, how 2 Harvard-trained doctors are turning the battle for weight loss on its head. No surgery, no anesthetic, no medication. Just swallow a tiny capsule and walk out 30 minutes later. Now in Australia, patients losing 10 to 15% of their body weight. On 7 News at 6.
Let's go to sport now with Matt Carmichael, and it's not an American holiday for the NRL stars.
Oh, especially when you see what the Roosters have been up to. And good afternoon. The serious work is picking up a week before kick-off in Las Vegas. It's very intense inside Roosters training in LA. The Premiership fancies intent on making amends for a disappointing 2023.
So we want to get that live ball, play our sets, get that hunger.
And from Wellington in New South Wales, there's deep meaning for Broncos gun centre Katoni Staggs.
I think footy got me away from actually being out on the streets, and sometimes you can get very lost out there. There's people now in town that never used to watch footy, but because I play, they watch it.
Katoni's dad lives in America, and they're meeting for just the 3rd time in his life.
Lucky that we've got the play over here, and he's got the opportunity to watch his son live playing what his son loves to play at.
There is some downtime and it's a bit weird. Daly Cherry Evans and his Manly players had an eye-opening visit to Old Town Las Vegas, hoping that's the only flogging they see this week. The Eels faced the first month of the NRL season without powerhouse winger Micah Sevo. He's facing a 3 to 4 week ban for a late high tackle on AJ Brimson in Para's 26-16 trial win over the Titans that went very well otherwise.
What we wanted to get out of it was a lot of effort stuff, and I feel like we did that and we got what we needed out of the trial, and get a little bit of the rust out going into round 1.
And scans today confirmed the awful news for Dolphins origin forward Tom Gilbert, an ACL tear and season over before it even begins. Key Swan Luke Parker will see a specialist on Friday to find out how much of the AFL season he'll miss. Parker broke his arm in their practice match with the Giants last week and had surgery on Friday.
We're bummed for Luke, but we think we got really good experience, especially with the new recruits that we've got in.
At AFL Captain's Day, new skipper Callum Mills confirmed he's still aiming for a mid-season comeback from his shoulder operation. The Matildas are 90 minutes away from becoming our first women's football team to qualify for 3 consecutive Olympics. Touching down in Melbourne this morning ahead of their second clash against Uzbekistan on Wednesday night, they're ready to seal the deal after a convincing but frustrating opening leg.
Everyone's dream to go to another Olympics. I think for us as well, we've fell short last Olympics by 1, and a massive goal of ours is to medal, but obviously more importantly to qualify on Wednesday night to finish the job.
The Matildas will play their 12th straight home sellout with tickets for Marvel Stadium gone long ago. Liverpool defeated Chelsea 1-0 in extra time in the League Cup final at Wembley, with the younger side featuring several academy products. Departing Reds manager Jurgen Klopp says it's easily the most special trophy of his illustrious career.
Liverpool's kids are all right. Jurgen Klopp has another trophy.
In the Premier League, Wolves defeated last place Sheffield United 1-0 with just 3 wins from 26 games. Sheffield players are turning on each other. Kings coach Mahmoud Abdel Fattah says he doesn't feel like he's coaching to save his job. After back-to-back NBL titles, Sydney only just booked their playoff spot in the final game of the regular season. There are suggestions Kings hierarchy are looking to replace Abdel Fattah after only a year.
I don't check social media. I don't check Instagram. I stay off of that stuff because at the end of the day, the people probably questioning my job have no clue what the job takes.
They face the Breakers at Kudos Bank Arena in Wednesday's elimination playoff. He's brought a lot of passion to the Kings this year, and a three-peat in the NBL would be fantastic for them, man. Yeah.
Thanks, Matty. A supercar estimated to be worth $800,000 has smashed into a power pole on the Gold Coast. Witnesses say the Lamborghini accelerated onto the footpath, ran through a garden bed before crashing into the pole, splitting it in half. The 40-year-old driver sustained minor injuries. This afternoon's top stories are next, including the remote area being searched by police as they look for Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. Chaotic scenes at a high-profile nightclub, fists and feet go flying. And why Nikki Haley is staying in the race for US president despite getting hammered in her home state.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Welcome back. These are our top stories on 7. Police search farmland in the southern tablelands. New details about alleged murders of Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. The state's top cop under fire, plus calls for Mardi Gras to ban officers from marching. The victim of a deadly assault revealed, his alleged attacker faces court. And Taylor Swift's lasting legacy in Sydney as she prepared for her final show. We have new details of how a serving police officer allegedly killed his ex-boyfriend and new partner before embarking on a multi-day ordeal to dispose of the bodies. Leonie Ryan is at the search site in Bungonia for us this afternoon.
And they certainly didn't stumble here by chance, with police revealing more details at that press conference earlier today. Constable Beau Lamar is alleged to have travelled to this area with an acquaintance, and before heading to this farming property, he went to the local hardware shop to buy a padlock, weights and an angle grinder. He drove her to this farm and used the power tool to cut the gate open. This is what Deputy Commissioner Dave Hudson said earlier.
It would appear that the accused was suspicious of the acquaintance that attended with him and about her beliefs of what he might have been up to, and very likely may have returned to those bodies later that evening.
Police have now confirmed a number of neighbours have come forward saying they possibly heard a number of gunshots being fired in that Paddington property on Monday morning. Police have also confirmed a call to 000 was made from Jessie Baird's phone shortly after those shots, but the call dropped out.
We believe that the accused had attended Jessie's home address. We believe that he had utilised a key to enter those premises, We believe that he took possession of Jesse's phone and deleted contacts and messages out of that phone before leaving the premises.
Now, line searches on a number of these properties in the Goulburn area are expected to go for several days, but police have vowed they will continue searching for Luke Davies and Jesse Baird until their bodies are found. We'll have more at 6. Anne.
Lady Ryan reporting. Police are working to identify those involved in a brawl at the Ivy Nightclub in the centre of Sydney. At least one person was left concussed with a cut near his eye. He was taken to hospital. So far, one person has been charged with a fray, but more people are also expected to be charged. Federal politician Barnaby Joyce has taken leave from Parliament this week after he was filmed lying on a footpath in Canberra earlier this month. Nationals leader David Littleproud said Mr Joyce decided to take the time off following a stressful period. However, Joyce did appear on his regular interview slot on 7 Sunrise this morning. A man accused of killing a security guard after being evicted from a Sutherland pub will remain behind bars. Brian Edmund Brown is charged with assault occasioning death, but didn't apply for bail when he faced court this morning. Annie Poulin has more.
Good afternoon. Security guard Musa Al-Hazair was on his second shift here at the Royal Hotel Sutherland when police allege patron Brian Brown assaulted the 30-year-old, leaving him with fatal head injuries. Police were called to this popular Sutherland pub in the early hours of yesterday morning, and officers located Musa Al-Hazair unconscious outside. 7 News understands the security guard had asked Brian Brown to leave the venue because he had drunk too much, but the 31-year-old Peakhurst man lashed out, allegedly punching him in the head.
He knew that he had enough. Aggressive behaviour, turns into an animal, and that's the people that can't handle the alcohol. And that's the reason why, Musa lost his life because of this guy.
Despite the best efforts of paramedics, the security guard from Saudi Arabia could not be saved. His accused attacker didn't appear in person when his case was briefly mentioned at Sutherland Local Court this morning, charged with assault occasioning death. Brown will be kept behind bars until his next appearance in April. Friends of the security guard are now trying to raise funds to cover the cost of his funeral, with staff here also planning a memorial in the coming days.
A date has been set for a committal hearing in the Toowoomba rape case involving former Liberal staffer Bruce Lerriman. Rosanna Kingston reports.
Bruce Lerriman's case has been gradually progressing through the courts for more than a year now. The case was first mentioned in the Toowoomba Magistrates Court in January last year, but now a date has been set for the committal hearing. Lerriman's barrister telling the court today defence and prosecution have agreed to a half-day hearing on June 17 with cross-examination of witnesses. It's then expected the magistrate will decide whether there's enough evidence to commit the case for trial. Lerriman is charged with 2 counts of rape, allegedly committed here in Toowoomba on October 10, 2021 against a young woman. At the time, Lerriman was on bail, accused of raping Brittany Higgins at Parliament House, a charge he was never convicted of. The 28-year-old has not been required to enter a plea yet, but his lawyers have indicated he plans to defend the charges.
Israeli media is reporting significant progress towards a ceasefire in Gaza. The deal is thought to include a swap of Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners, as well as the entry of aid into Gaza. A closed-door meeting of spy chiefs, military officials and diplomats has been held in Paris. The talks are now expected to move to Qatar for direct mediation. Donald Trump rival Nikki Haley has brushed off her home state loss to continue campaigning in the run to the US presidential election. Trump's supporters want her out of the race for the Republican nomination to give their candidate a clear run. US correspondent Tim Lester is in South Carolina.
Those pushing for a Donald Trump comeback reckon the weekend election results here in South Carolina ought to put a full stop on the Republican nomination for president.
In politics, a 20-point victory is huge, and it's the type of victory that President Trump has been achieving across the country.
The message from the governor of Texas and other prominent conservatives backing Donald Trump, The campaign from his one last Republican rival, Nikki Haley, has been proven futile.
It was a victory by 20 percentage points in a state where Nikki Haley was the governor.
Nikki Haley now campaigning in other states about to hold primaries after telling supporters her hometown vote was not so bad.
I know 40% is not 50%. But I also know 40% is not some tiny group.
Haley needs a near miracle turnaround, and quickly. The next few weeks will see a rush of state primaries, which on current trends will mathematically lock in Donald Trump's Republican crown. South Carolina's vote has also shown up a weakness for Donald Trump in the run to November's presidential election. The more moderate voters he needs if he's to beat Joe Biden are still looking for other candidates.
Sydney's big dose of Swift mania, which has ruled the city for the last week, is about to come to an end, with the star performing her final show tonight. As concert goers count their blessings after securing prize tickets, many businesses are now counting the cash. Grace Fitzgibbon has more.
Well, the Taylor Swift love affair has sadly come to an end, with the pop star wrapping up her Sydney shows, but the flow-on effect for our economy is huge. And joining me to discuss more about this is Tourism CEO Margie Osmond. What does this mean for Sydney?
Well, I don't think the love affair is over. I think the tourism industry will be thrilled to see Ms Swift whenever she would like to come back. This has been a huge outcome for the tourism economy and the wider economy.
They didn't just buy tickets, they came and they spent their money here.
They literally came, they conquered in every town that the concert's been on. So both Melbourne and Sydney have seen a huge boost. Melbourne somewhere between 170 and 200 million. Sydney well over 200 million, probably something over 3, because they didn't just buy a ticket. They had accommodation, they went out to dinner, they went shopping, because after all, you've got to have something new to wear.
Of course you do, and we saw that. It was amazing. And what does it mean for businesses, particularly retailers? I mean, we've had COVID, it wasn't a great Christmas. They needed this.
Yeah, look, I think this has been a very big boost for the retail sector, because not only do people shop for things to wear at the concert, they went for a little recreational shopping while they were here too, because a lot of it was family visits, particularly mums and daughters. So it's been a really great experience.
And what's the lesson, what's the takeaway here? Live events, we welcome them here in Sydney?
Yeah, look, the big takeout for governments is that major events are wonderful for the economy, are wonderful for the tourism economy, and I have to say concerts like Taylor Swift just make everybody feel a little happier.
They certainly do. We saw that all round. We were very, very happy to have her here, and whether you're a Swift fan or not, there is no denying she's done great things for the land down under.
Thanks, Grace. We'll hear from ComSec for the latest on your money next, plus more on the criticisms of Police Commissioner Karen Webb, despite support from some big backers. And it's 23 degrees and a bit windy in Cronulla this afternoon. Angie has Sydney's forecast soon.
Hillsong, the inside story, the journalist who went inside the global megachurch and his tip-off that changed everything.
He's live on one of the biggest scandals to unfold right here.
You've heard of white noise machines, now it's brown and pink.
The latest bedroom craze, we'll show you how it works.
Start with Sunrise. On 7 News, how 2 Harvard-trained doctors are turning the battle for weight loss on its head. No surgery, no anaesthetic, no medication. Just swallow a tiny capsule and walk out 30 minutes later. Now in Australia, patients losing 10 to 15% of their body weight. On 7 News at 6.
The New South Wales Police Commissioner has hit back at suggestions her leadership is being called into question after it took her 3 days to front the public over the investigation in Paddington. Speaking this morning, Karen Webb confirmed her Victorian counterpart would lead a review of the force's firearms policy that allowed Beau Lamar to take his police-issue handgun home.
There's been a gap in this instance, and as I said at the beginning, that will form part of the critical incident investigation, that particular incident, but we need to look more widely right across our organisation.
Premier Chris Minns is defending his police commissioner, saying it's not her job to keep the public informed of ongoing investigations.
The most important job of the police commissioner is running a police force that's effective in investigating crime and arresting the perpetrators of crime. That's the key KPI as far as I'm concerned.
Despite calls for police to pull out of official Mardi Gras celebrations this year, both Webb and Min said they hope members would be allowed to march. Let's get a check of your finance now with Laura Bezerati from ComSec, and it's been a flat session to start the week.
Good afternoon. That's exactly right. The Aussie market did end the session basically flat, edging higher by just 9 points or about 0.1%, but that still means we've had our third straight session of gains. Across the sectors today, about half were higher. Retail stocks performed well as a group. This was partly helped by Kogan, with its shares hitting a 2-year high, up 23% after swinging back to a profit and declaring its first dividend payment in a few years. The financial sector also did well. Suncorp shares rose on the back of higher insurance premiums. Going the other way though, energy stocks including the likes of Santos and Woodside weighed heavily after oil prices dropped almost 3%. Santos also traded ex-dividend today. That's the cutoff for those eligible to receive a dividend payment, set to pay out 26.8 cents per share to eligible shareholders towards the end of March. And TPG was among the biggest losers as well after its profit dropped significantly from a year ago. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 65.5 US cents. Have a lovely night.
Sydney's 6 p.m. news is coming up with Mark Ferguson. Hello, Mark. What's on the program?
Yeah, good afternoon. And tonight, police reveal new clues about the moments before the deaths of Jessie Baird and Luke Davies, including a 000 call shortly after gunshots were heard. Shock allegations of the elaborate attempt to hide their bodies, including help from a female companion, plus the police commissioner feels the heat over her response. Also more on our exclusive report into the culture at Cumberland Hospital, the new plans that could see the site shut down. The new weight loss balloon promising potentially life-changing results, no surgery or medication needed. We explain how it works. Police quickly catch up with a man driving without a tyre. Sparks were flying from the rim and set off spot fires in dangerous bushfire conditions. And the new trend, helping Aussies make big savings on alcohol. The new spending and drinking habits revealed. And all that, plus how the stars of the NRL are settling into Vegas. That's tonight at 6 o'clock.
Thanks, Fergo. See you then. And next in 7's afternoon news, Angie will be here with your latest weather forecast.
Good afternoon, I'm Thomas Reeve in the Allcastle Homes traffic chopper. Been a slow run heading westbound on the M5 through Reevesby this afternoon, and we've been seeing delays in both directions through Horsley Park on the M7. You can see the beginning of that afternoon traffic there. Allcastle Homes architecturally customises duplexes to suit your site and budget. Interested in subdivision? Inquire now. allcastlehomes.com.au.
In 7 News, a new search as police allege an elaborate attempt to hide the bodies of Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. The mystery 000 call for help from Jessie's phone. Gladys Berejiklian's new fight to clear her name. The driver who couldn't be bothered changing his tyre. And the weight loss balloon helping shed kilos. 7 News at 6.
A zoo in the US has released footage of a cute new resident. A grey seal pup born less than 2 weeks ago has been spotted hanging out with mum. His mother Georgie is proving to be very attentive and has already helped him gain 6 kilos through nursing. The little guy is still finding his flippers and will stay behind the scenes until he's ready to be viewed by guests. Angie's here now with our forecast. How's it all looking, Angie?
And the blue skies have turned grey this afternoon, and that cloud cover will stick around tomorrow. This morning, nice and sunny, which is when we recorded that top of 28 degrees before midday. Has since cooled down to 25 now. A high pressure system over the Bight is maintaining relatively settled conditions in our state. Just a touch of scattered cloud, but not much rainfall. Tomorrow, hot and dry winds will start to blow over South Australia. Warm conditions building through our state's inland, tracking towards the coast by Thursday. Around the capitals, Brisbane's heading for a mostly sunny day, a top of 31. Grey skies for Canberra and 27. Hot and sunny for Melbourne, 30. Settled for Hobart, 25. There's that heat on the way to us. Adelaide to reach 36 degrees tomorrow, and it is a milder 29 for Perth with fine conditions. Back in the CBD, we could see a late shower tonight with those clouds. It will be a cloudy day tomorrow, but the showers should ease. Then a warmer night as that cloud cover traps in the day's heat. So 21's the forecast low, followed by a top of 26, which is spot on average. Ahead, Wednesday's looking fine and warmer. We'll see tops in the 30s. Thursday's the day to watch, 37 degrees in the CBD, 40 in our west. So extreme heat for the final official day of summer. Then the first days of autumn are looking much milder. We'll see tops in the low 20s to high 30s. I'll have more weather at 6 o'clock, Anne.
Thank you, Angie. And that is Sydney's 4 p.m. news for this Monday. Mark Ferguson will bring you 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Sanders. Stay with 7 now for the Chase Australia. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7 Plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.